Welcome. As we gather today, we honor the lands and the peoples that came before us. We acknowledge the land on which we gather virtually, good morning virtual people, and in person. The Wiyot name for Eureka is Turichichi, meaning the place where we rest, where we sit and rest. As this piece of land is between South Bay, Wichi in Wiyot, and where Wiyot people en route via canoe to the Mad River would rest. In Norelma Wintu language, I offer this prayer. Olabes, Kachepit, your Nichi is calling. Niabida, hear my prayers. Kawal Ka'achepit, Wita Abiadida, humbly. Olabes, Sawal Ka'achepit, your children are calling. We are calling. Hear our prayers, Spirit Giver. All your children seek renewal. The sky people, the water people, the land people, and all of your creations. Renew our spirit, Kia Chepet. Make us whole again. We honor the Wiyot peoples, all my relations, so hope. And now, Ms. Karen.
All right. Oh, thank you, Donna, for that fabulous, beautiful opening for our service this morning. Whether you are joining us online or are here in the sanctuary, just allow me to say, welcome home. We're so glad that you're here. And so, as we do every week, we want to start our service in that very special way that we do here in Eureka with our opening affirmation. And we'll say the first part together and then turn to someone near you to say the very last line. We have that up on the screen. Ta-da! All right. We are a welcoming community where the vibration of love lifts us, the wisdom of the ages inspires us, and the science of mind teaching empowers us. I honor the path that brought you here today. I honor the path that that brought you here today. I honor the path that brought you here today. Wonderful. All right, and bringing it back in, bringing it back in. I know, it's always hurting cats. All right, and if we want to go ahead and bring up our weekly schedule, you can see that we have lots of things going on. All of the details and registration links will be on our website. And I know, Susan, you had a special announcement that may not be on the website. Do you want to comment?
This community needs your help if you're able. We need counters for the money that comes in on a Sunday. We used to have 8. We're down to maybe 4 right now. And so I'm asking if you would like to find out what happens in that little room with the doors closed. This is your opportunity to find that out. So I'm only asking for a commitment for once a month, and it usually takes about, I don't know, an hour at the most probably until you learn. But all it is, it's counting the money, the cash that comes in, tabulating the checks, make sure they all get put in on the right line so that Catherine knows how to distribute the funds. And so I'm just asking you to take it into consideration. And those on Zoom, if you ever decide that you want to get out of your pajamas and get back to service, this invitation goes to you too. So if you have any questions, see me after church. Thank you for consideration.
Will there be snacks?
Only if somebody brings them. You're not required to. Work for food. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. What a great way to lean back into that flow of abundance. I love it. All right, and then on our weekly schedule, the things to mention this week would be yoga with Kathy. She is back, but take note, she will only be here on Thursday this week. We'll also have our first Wednesday healing service that I am doing. This will be on the 1st from 6 to 7:30. That slide is actually a little short on time. And it will be on Zoom. And it is a $30 love offering basis. So please be sure and join us for that. Even if you've done it before, it is different every time, and you will really discover some deep meaning in things and obstacles that may be stopping you from living your best life. Also wanted to mention that our bookstore is available. Books are as marked, so please go ahead and take a look. And then our little pantry. We want to be sure to always feed the little pantry. You can bring them on Sundays. You can also bring that Monday from noon to 4. Things that are special requests would be baby food, cans that pop off that don't need a can opener to open, and shelf-stable milks and juices. Our theme this month is walking our talk. Isn't that a lovely one? And now we're going to move on into the contemplative meditation, and I'm going to be doing that with accompaniment by Jackson. And so I have brought a short passage from the essential Ernest Holmes, because we have lots of choices when it comes to readings from Ernest Holmes. What we demonstrate today, tomorrow, and the next day is not as important as the tendency which our thought is taking, the dominant attitude of our mind. If every day things are a little better, a little happier, a little more harmonious, a little more health-giving and joyous, if each day we are expressing more life, we are going in the right direction.
lift my heart in praise. I am God's love. I give thanks for good. I live my life in grace.
Take a word together for the opening of our service today, knowing that there is only one presence, one power, the source and substance of all things, in all ways and always, all God, all good. And this good shows up as joy and love and connection. And what I know is true is that each one of us is what it is. That same love, that same joy and connection is in and through every cell and fiber of our being. And in this place of knowing, I simply speak a word for our service this day, declaring that right where we are, God is. That universal essence just wraps around and outpictures in everything we see and do and touch. That it is here in this room and it pours out onto the streets of our beautiful city and beyond, wrapping around this entire planet. That love is the essence of the divine, that it flows through each and every one of us. And what I also know is true, that is in this space of love, we cannot help but feel that joy. And so I just declare that we are a yes, a divine yes for more love, more joy, more grace in our lives. I call it good, and so very good. As I cast this forth into the law, I let it go and let it be, knowing that Spirit already says, yes, my beloved ones, yes. And we affirm and know this together by saying together, and so it is.
I grow in joy. I dance in spirit. I lift my heart in praise. I am God's love. I give thanks for good. I live my life in grace.
Thank you so much, Jackson. And now as we return our consciousness back to this space, it is my great pleasure to introduce Reverend Angelica.
That was great, Jackson and Karen. Thank you. So, yesterday we had Ernest Holmes' birthday party. He would have been 136 years old. And I had this plan. We were going to show it up there on the screen. And then Rick said, oh, we could use the big TV and do it in there, depending on how many people come. I couldn't get either one of them to work. I swear, I know it's not Mercury retrograde. However, so then I decided, okay, there was a small amount of us, so we'll just sit around this table and we'll watch it on my laptop. Well, more and more people kept coming in, and so we were spread out a little bit, and I said, well, you know, we're just going to have to listen to it. And then that circle of doom started happening. and we couldn't hear the music. We couldn't, I mean, we'd get a little snippet, and then it would start circling and circling. Now, I don't know if Suddenlink was having problems yesterday or what, but it was disappointing. So we just decided to eat and enjoy each other and, you know, have a good time. So we did. But I thought that this morning I would share with you a little bit, something that I wrote probably in 2001, I don't know. But I'd share a little bit about our founder with you. Because in classes, etc., you don't really hear very much about him. You know, you read this fantastic book and you know that he has lots of books, but you don't really get to know about him. So I thought, today is not only going to be how to use it, but it's going to be who is Dr. Ernest Holmes. So I'm going to read this to you. From time to time, people come along of apparent genius, people whose insight, understanding, and love are influential in changing the thinking of a whole generation, and whose impact will be felt for years to come. I should have said generations, right? Dr. Holmes was such a person. That's what I feel. He was born January 21st, 1887, on a small farm near Lincoln, Maine, the youngest of 9 sons. 9. I can't even imagine that. His parents moved around a lot, and his mother would send the children to whatever school or church was the closest. Asked about his quitting school at 15, Ernest said, "I didn't want to be taken care of, so I went to work. What I have gathered has been from reading, studying, and thinking, working, and experiencing. It is a long, laborious, tough method, but it pays off. What you really learn in life will be what you tell yourself, in a language you understand, that you accept, because it is rational enough to accept and inspirational enough to listen to with feeling." He also says, "From the beginning, I was a nonconformist. Asking so many questions, I drove my relatives crazy." His mother called him the question mark. Early in his life, his parents took the family to a seaside cottage of one of his aunts, where Ernest found the book Emerson's Essays. He said, "Studying Emerson was like drinking water to me. I have studied Emerson all my life." Now, I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, we studied Emerson's essays, a few of them. And, you know, I read them and I thought they were good and, you know, got an A in that class. But it wasn't until I got into the science of mind and we had to study Emerson that I thought, wow, this guy's amazing. And you know, every time I teach Emerson, I get so much more out of it, just like every time I teach the science of mind, I get so much more out of it. From 1908 to 1910, he attended the Leland Powers School of Expression in Boston. Some of his fellow students were Christian Scientists. He became interested in some of their thinking, especially about the healings they believed were possible by those that prayed in a certain way. If such things were possible to them, he reasoned, such things must also be possible to others. Much later, he said, "Anything anyone has ever done, anybody can do. There can be no secrets in nature. This I have always believed. There is no special providence, no God who says, 'I'm going to tell you what I didn't tell the others.'" He came to California in 1912 on an exploratory visit. 2 years before, his brother Fenwick had sought a warmer climate for health reasons. He had written Ernest glowing reports about the Los Angeles suburb of Venice, where he had become a home missionary and built a small, thriving church. Ernest, too, liked the climate. He liked helping out on Sunday in the church. and he found a job that he really liked as purchasing agent for the city of Venice. What he especially liked about the job was that it allowed him plenty of time to read and study. He found Los Angeles an exciting place, a growing city of progressive people in a ferment of expanding their horizons, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually. It was a community of stimulating intellectuals. Anything anyone might want to study was taught there. An engineer who frequented his purchasing office became curious about the books on philosophy, metaphysics, and other subjects he had around him, and asked to borrow some of them. After a while, the engineer invited Ernest to his home to speak to a few friends. That was his first talk, and after that, he was invited to speak to many home parties. One evening, a lady informed him that she had arranged for him to speak at the big metaphysical library. "Talk on what?" he asked. Her answer was, "What you've been talking to us here. You're better than any of the people we hear there." He investigated. The hall rented for $1 a class, and the admission price per person was 25 cents. He decided to talk on Thomas Trord and the Edinburgh lectures. Enough people showed up and stayed so that he went home with a $5 gold piece after paying his rental. It was a heady experience. The year was 1916. Within the next 2 years, he was speaking to thousands of people a week in Los Angeles, and then began speaking around the country. He soon had a national reputation as a man who stimulated others to think for themselves. Wherever he went, people wanted to hear his messages. They were ready for what he was already embarked on, the great synthesis that would result in the book, The Science of Mind, which was first published in 1926, and consciousness grew. He started speaking Sunday mornings in a theater that seated 625. Within a year, latecomers could not get in. Important people in Los Angeles had begun to urge him to form a corporation and organize for the inevitable growth of what he was teaching. He said, "Nope, I don't want to do that. I don't want to start a new religion or be responsible for it." In 1927, the Sunday talks were moved to a theater which seated 1,295. Within a year, that also was too small. I thought I would mention quickly here a little aside. When he first started speaking in the theaters on Sunday morning, he took in a suitcase, he opened it up and set it on a chair in the lobby of the theater and wrote "donations taken." And every Sunday, that suitcase was full. He never asked for money. He just set up a suitcase with a sign. His friends persisted. So in 1927, the Institute of Religious Science and School of Philosophy was incorporated. Ernest Holmes was 40 years old. The organizing of the Institute led to the launching only a few months later of a monthly magazine. It was called Religious Science. The Institute was not yet equipped to enroll all the would-be students who wanted to attend. The magazine was created in an effort to sustain and build the interest that the Institute had already generated by word of mouth. In that first issue was a listing of religious science practitioners, and one was Anna Holmes, Ernest Holmes' mother. In October 1929, the magazine became The Science of Mind magazine. 1927 was a banner year for Ernest, as on October 23rd, 1927 in Los Angeles, he was married to widowed Hazel Durkee Foster. They were to be inseparable companions for over 30 years. In 1934, the Sunday talks were moved to a theater with a seating capacity of more than 2,800. There, too, before long, Hundreds were turned away every Sunday. Another aside, I can't remember what minister I was listening to at Asilomar. It might have been Bill Hornaday, who was a really good friend of Ernest Holmes, of course. And in fact, after Hazel died, he moved in with Ernest. He said that he could not believe when he first saw, not this theater that I just mentioned, but the one before, when he first went to that theater on a Sunday morning, he was so surprised at all the Rolls Royces and Cadillacs that pulled up and dropped people off. Now there's a consciousness, right? To attract all those people. On January 4th, 1954, the Institute became the Church of Religious Science. On May 21st, 1957, his wife Hazel died, and according to George Bendel, it was George Bendel who lived with him, not the other guy, who lived with him until his death, he never stopped missing her. In January 1960, he presided at the dedication of Founders Church of Religious Science in Los Angeles, and in April 1960, Dr. Ernest Holmes made his transition. He left no children. He received many honorary degrees during his lifetime, and he left all humanity an enduring legacy, the way of life he called religious science. On that way of life, he said this in 1958. We have launched a movement which in the next 100 years will be the great new religious impulsion of modern times, for exceeding in its capacity to envelop the world anything that has happened since Mohammedanism started. We have to have the same faith in what we teach and practice that the scientist has, or the gardener has. And when that great simplicity shall have plumbed and penetrated this density of ours, this human solidness and stupidity, this debauchery of the intellect and the soul, something new and wonderful will happen. It's the only thing that will keep the world from destroying itself. During his 73 years, he saw World War I and World War II and the Korean War, the atomic bomb, a stock market crash, the beginning of talking pictures, radar invented, TV became a household item, the first satellite launched into space, and Hawaii became a part of the USA. That was a really active period, wasn't it? Those 73 years. Those who knew Dr. Holmes said he had the ability to look through any appearance to the truth behind it. He knew an imperfect person was in truth God Spirit. This, he said, is judging righteously and not judging according to appearance. He could see God in all things while soaring to metaphysical heights in his captivating speeches or in silent meditation, and the next moment be in everyday life, laughing and telling a good story. These qualities of humanness and balance made him a highly admired and respected man. He said, "We happen to have the most liberal spiritual movement the world has ever seen. Yet it is tied together by the authority of the ages and the highlights of the spiritual evolution of the human race, all of which I have become familiar with over a long period of time, studying it and thinking about it." And so in this center, we carry on his legacy by learning and living the science of mind. To me, this is a God-centered, heartfelt, affirmative thinking and way of being. And I picked a couple of other quotes. He said, "What you will really learn in life will be what you tell yourself in a language you understand and that you accept." That was in the beginning. "Anything anyone has ever done, anybody can do. And have the same faith in what we teach and practice that the scientist has or the gardener has." We've used a lot in this tradition the idea of thinking about our minds being like gardens, that we're planting things into, and that we have to be really careful not only of the seeds that we're planting, but the soil that we're planting them into. And you know, when I remember over and over again about how powerful this teaching is, one of the things I remember is that we're here for this time. We're in this teaching for this time. It's up to us to pay attention to what we've allowed ourselves to be mesmerized by. It's up to us to be those ones that are spreading love energy everywhere. So let's look at real quickly the idea that's in the third little chapter of the prologue. It's called What It Does. He starts out this chapter by saying we should approach the study of this science rationally. You know, people have talked to me about that don't know, I mean, they hear who I am, etc., and they ask me, oh, you're the ones that practice that magical thinking. I say, yeah, we do. Because, you know, in a way it is magical. To me it's magical. You really pay attention to what you believe, to what you've been thinking about predominantly over and over and over. And if it works, then yes, you keep doing it. And if it doesn't work, then you change it. Right? And changing our thinking changes our lives. He says, we should approach the study of the science rationally, never expecting to derive any benefits from it that its principle does not contain. For while it is true that we are immersed in an infinite intelligence, a mind that knows all things, it is also true that this intelligence can acquaint us with its ideas only as we are able and willing to receive them. Divine mind is infinite. It contains all knowledge and wisdom, but before it can reveal its secrets, it must have an outlet. And guess what? You're the outlet. We're the outlet. Everybody is the outlet, actually, whether they're in a science of mind teaching or not. Because this idea, it's done until you believe, as Jesus and Buddha and many great masters said, is like the law here. It's done unto us as we believe. And you know, it's really interesting. Beliefs to me are really interesting. There's a whole thing going on right now about asking ourselves, what is our why? And in fact, we're probably going to do that eventually in the center. What is the why of this center? Right? What is our why? But it's real interesting because I found a video and a little bit of talk about it through some ministers online. And then now everything I get is all about asking ourselves, what is our why? And one of the things that establishes our why is what we experience as a little child. Now, those of you who have heard me for a while know that I had a very traumatic childhood. And that took a lot of work to move through. In fact, sometimes things spring up. And I'm thinking, oh, but I healed that already, damn it. Only there's layers, you know, layers upon layers. But what I have to always remember is that we're the outlet of this power for good, as we've talked about the last few weeks, as we've talked about, well, this church is 39 years old as of the 10th. So a happy birthday to our center as well. In fact, we're already talking about what kind of big party we're going to have for next year's 40th anniversary. But where was I going? See, party. Okay, mind. Okay, squirrel, stop it. So what we have to remember is that we need to pay attention to those things that we're harboring deep within our subjective mind. We need to pay attention to the things that are happening around us. And I remember Helen Street, my teacher, saying, you want to know what you believe? Look around you. Because absolutely everything around you is from your beliefs. If you go into a quantum idea of this teaching, which I think Dr. Holmes would have loved, this whole idea of quantum theories. If you look at that, there's only one person here. And you're manifesting everything that you see. So you all are manifesting me talking to you, reminding you constantly about the importance of paying attention to your thoughts and your feelings. In fact, for me now, it's even more important to think about the feelings than it was about the thoughts. This thing keeps moving. It's alive! I'm actually wearing it because I felt like this was too low for Sunday morning, so. I did change my clothes between last night and today. Okay. All right. So he goes on to say, it's been said that we can know God only insofar as we can become God. Now that phrase bothers a lot of people. How can I become God? I mean, God. For me, what it took was science. All there is energy. All there is energy. Everything that we're experiencing, whether it's animate or inanimate, is energy. And I choose to think of it as divine energy. It's all God. I mean, just about every religion says that God is omnipresent. That means it's everywhere, right? It doesn't stop when it gets to us. It's everywhere. So God can only work for us God can only work for us as we allow ourselves to believe that all there is God. I know that sometimes the old God of our childhood, the God that was real judgmental, had all these rules. That God seems to jump in sometimes. I remember being at the deathbed of a young man during the AIDS crises who, I'm not really sure how coherent he was, except that he did say to me that he was bothered. He didn't want to die because he felt that he had been bad in his life. And I said, why did you say that? You know, why have you been bad? Well, my grandmother said, and, you know, from what I got from him was his grandmother did not believe in homosexuality. And so he had been carrying that knot around in his heart and in his mind ever since he discovered his real self. And so he never, this is the story I made up, that he couldn't experience his life as he might have if he had totally accepted it. So I said to him, you have done nothing wrong. You can't do something wrong when you love. Love is what God is. This divine energy, that's what it is. It's love. The energy of love. You cannot do anything wrong. So you're good. Let yourself breathe into that. Let yourself feel that there is something within you that really loves you. And it loves you no matter what. There's something around you. Your partner loves you. Your animals love you. You're living in love. And then I prayed for him, and then I left. And his partner called me the next morning to say that he had passed. And he said, I have to tell you something. And I said, what? And he said, one of the last things he said to me was, an angel came to me and told me that I was not bad. My name's Angelica. So I thought, wow, I was so glad that I got to be there at that moment, and I said what I did so that he could leave feeling clear, feeling loved. Which brings us to the next point that he makes in this chapter, that is, the universe is impersonal. The universe, this divine energy, this thing that we call God, does not have judgment about, oh, that's a bad action and that's a good one. It's impersonal, totally impersonal. The universe is impersonal. It gives alike to all. Its nature is to impart. Ours is to receive. It's absolutely impersonal. All it does is love. That's why I say the only word God knows is yes. Yes. I feel sick. Yes, my darling. I feel healthy. Yes, my darling. I'm poor. Yes, my darling. I'm rich. Yes, my darling. That's all it knows. It's impersonal. One of the other things that he says in this little chapter on what it does is that we're looking too far away for reality, and that's reality with a capital R. That we're looking for it out there still. In fact, many of us are looking for a lot of stuff out there. You know, for me, the prince is going to ride up on his white horse. Even though I'm in my 70s now, he just hasn't found me yet. Well, he did find me a couple times, but I surprise myself with what comes out of my mouth. Yes, my dear. Anyway, he goes on to say this statement that I've underlined about 8 times: the universe is to be trusted. The universe is to be trusted. He says here, in an intelligent study of the teachings of the science of mind, we come to understand that all is love and yet all is law. Love rules through law. Love is the divine givingness. Law is the way. Love is spontaneous. Law is impersonal. Love points the way, and law makes the way possible. So again, I'm going to tell us that one of our jobs to do here is to be love in every way that we possibly can. The other thing that is important in this particular chapter is that the idea that he said, anything that anybody has ever done, anybody can do. And so I want to go into an idea that first came out in this teaching. You know, around the time that the science of mind was developed, faith healing was really prevalent and prominent, especially in California. And I can remember going as a 20-year-old or something to see Catherine Kuhlman, I think her name was, I can't remember right now, but she was at the arena, the Los Angeles arena, and there was a line around the block a couple of times waiting to get into this arena to see this woman. And there was people in wheelchairs, and there was people with crutches, etc. And I don't know how many people she prayed for that night and healed. But there ended up being a big stack of crutches on the stage, people that no longer need them. Now this woman really believed that she was connected to the divine. She believed, even though she wasn't science of mind or religious science, she believed that there was that power within her, the spirit within her, gave her the ability to be able to do this work, and so she did. Many years later, in the Hawaii church, a man came to speak to us who was known as a metaphysical dentist. And he talked to us all about the power of belief and allowing the power of the divine to move through us. And then he started working for people, working on people in the audience. And there was people whose silver fillings turned into tooth material. There was people who had various different dental problems that were healed right in front of us. I mean, because he would do the work for you. He had people come up on the stage, he'd do the work, and his phrase at the end of everything he said was, "By the power of Jesus Christ be ye every whit healed." And he would hand them a mirror. And they were crying. And they were gasping in awe. I want us to move back into that place of knowing that our word is so powerful that it can heal anything. And I mean anything. I want Science of Mind to get back into, as all the different senders of us, to get back into being a healing teaching ministry. We're doing really well on the teaching part, but we haven't done so well on the healing part. And I believe, as it says in the Bible, that it only takes a small group. So us together, choosing to pray for peace in our country, can heal it. Us together choosing to pray for anyone in our community who is experiencing anything can heal them. And I'm getting more and more clear about that in my own self. And guess what? Because I'm doing it and I'm raising my consciousness constantly, so are you. So this is what I know for us. Let's see our affirmation this morning. Knowing there is no lack, I approach life with anticipation and excitement, confident in the knowledge that I am infinitely abundant and grateful for all I have and all I can share. And let's go into prayer. Treatment. How wonderful it is to be reminded of the power of this teaching. How wonderful it is to remember that there is only that one life, that life we can call God or divine life or the force, whatever we choose to call it. That life is our life right here and right now. It is living in us, animating us. And so I now declare for each one of us, using the first person to make it easier for you to accept as your own, I am ready and willing to know the truth about myself and about others. I am ready and willing to use this power for good that is within me to uplift the consciousness of absolutely everything and everyone. And so I see in myself that as I make this choice, the universe shows me where I need to change my thinking, and I do so with grace. I no longer avoid anything. I let myself recognize how I have been and how I want to be, and who I want to be right now is an energy port for love, for divine love, to move out into the world and bless and nurture and create peace absolutely everywhere. I know that as I let this energy move through me, it heals everything in my body. So I see all my cells and atoms dancing a happy dance, willing to be healthy. I know that this energy moves through me into my financial life and heals everything there, so that I no longer feel a desire to do things just for money, because I know money will come. I will always be provided for. I know this same energy moves through me through the way I use my hands, my mind, my heart in this world. Creativity flows, and how wonderful that feels. And I let myself use this energy to enhance all of my relationships, because I know every relationship, whether it's with my children or my spouse or significant other, my parents, whatever it might be, my neighbors, even the ones that might bother me, they too are God, divine energy in form, and all of it is love. And I know that as we enhance our consciousness, it begins to spread out like the ripples on a pond when a rock is thrown in. So we're throwing in love, and that love energy is moving out through our community, through our state, through our country, throughout our whole planet, even on into the galaxies, because this energy never dies. It's never over. So I celebrate us as being the ones that are ready and willing to hear that clarion call within us that says, be love. Be the lover. Receive love. Give love. It's all God. And so I release these words into divine law, knowing that they are already done. Knowing that each one of us has something to take away from this morning that enhances our week ahead, our life, and how grateful we are for that. So very grateful. And so it is. Take a breath. Thank you for letting me share this morning. Now we get to hear Edward. Where's Edward? There he is. Yay!
Gotta sit down for this one. My expensive toy. Let's see. It's got a tone on it. Yeah, this song that I'm about to do. This song that I'm about to do, as much as the chorus will let me, or maybe not. This is one of my wife's favorites. I think it's going to be one that's going to be significant to everyone. I know it's significant to me, and since we're all people of a certain age, I'm sure we've had that moment in our past where the song will touch us. My wife's birthday is tomorrow, so this was one of her favorites. Yay. And I would say she's going to be sweet 16, but that would make me a lecherous old man, and which may be true, but and I can't make any other age jokes because Ernest Holmes just told me I'm 136, dude, lay off the jokes. So, But I do want to make a special dedication. Amy and I are nurses over at St. Joe's, as most of you know. And we had this one patient, a gentleman named Mark Rios, who we just learned to love. I think his family are tuning in on Zoom. I invited him to do so. This was his favorite song. He was the spitting image of Jesus. I mean, or a biblical figure. You know, he looked exactly like the statue of Jesus. And when we told him that, you know, he just got all kinds of kicks out of that. But we talked about this philosophy every chance we got. And he was definitely one of us, you know, in belief. Anyway, he went home. Well, he found my YouTube channel. And he listened to a lot of my videos and he heard this song. And he went home and told his family about it, made them listen to it. And on the day of his discharge, he made his transition. So right after they heard this, he was gone. And still emotional, you know, but we loved him, and I want to do this for him. I had the honor of being asked to have my video played at his departure, graduation, or whatever you want to call it, celebration of life ceremony. And I'm going to do it again. I thought a violin would be nice for this. Bear with me, this thing is temperamental.
definitely. Definitely. So let's think about the offering that we're going to be giving this morning. Maybe imagine holding it to our hearts, blessing it, nurturing it, knowing that it goes out to do good work. And let's say our offering affirmation together. I gratefully give from the fullness of my abundance, knowing my gift blesses this center, all in it and beyond, and so it is. Acknowledging the generous hearts that gave them, acknowledging the generous presence behind those hearts that blesses us continually, knowing that as they go into the center office, they do good work. They're pressed down and running over, and so it is. So it is. All right. There's how to do it if you're not putting money in the that went around. And I do want to mention to the Zoomers that I'm so glad that you're with us. I forget to do that before I start talking, which I want to remind myself to remember that more often. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Zoomers, and thank you for being here today. So let's move the slide. Who would like to read our statement of inclusion today? Louise, come.
Yeah, I took my glasses
Oh,
out.
you got prepared early.
I was going to do it last week, but she beat me to it. But I'm not going to say. Uh-oh. Where's the paper that I get? It's on the shelf.
Oh, sorry.
Because I can't read that from here. Sorry. I got to do it this way.
Don't forget your drive.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. All right. Okay. We, the Eureka Center for Spiritual Living and the Eureka Center for Spiritual Living are communities that celebrate diversity, foster inclusion, champion inner work, and create space for brave, vulnerable conversations. We are a community that honors the unique emanation of God that each person embodies and advocates with people for human rights and dignity for all. We are a community that blesses each other, sees sacredness in all life, remains learners and listeners so that we may grow together, and understands that oneness is not sameness. And then together, we know our blessed community is revealed more fully when we love each other well. Okay.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, musicians. Thank you, technology people. Thank you, everybody. So let's stand up and sing our closing song. I'm stepping out, and we're stepping out in love this time.
Yes.